Oh, my wife's had some good results, and so I just started patching myself. That's I'm going to come to a question that I have on me, but the reason I asked James to set up a call with someone of knowledge, and I specifically asked for you, wasn't sure we'd be able to get you, was around clinical studies. I believe you're a chiropractor or were, and so I may not have that exactly right, but my doctor is looking at this, and he doesn't care about videos. He's one of these guys, and I respect this, where he said, look, I don't want to watch YouTube videos of people that are making money on this telling me how great it is. I want to look at clinical studies. That's kind of what I do. So I went to the clinical studies. I think there's 90 of them. And I frankly I'm an engineer myself, so I can deal with analytical stuff. I haven't practiced as an engineer in 50 years, but that's beside the point. uh, I'm an entrepreneur that's done several businesses of traditional types. Anyway, I looked at the clinical studies, and I've sent him some of them. Haven't gotten a reaction from him yet, but I think the reason why is, my concern, if you will, just from a business standpoint with the clinical studies, is that they're all short term. I didn't. I did see maybe one or two that talked about in the other patches, not the X39, some kind of 3 or 6 month results, but almost all of them are 1 day or 7 day results. And so I I don't know the reason why Lifewave either hasn't done or won't share, longer term clinical studies. Obviously, that's really what analytical folks, to me, want to see, is what's happened over a year or X years. And as long as Lifewave's been around, and I realize X39 hasn't been around that long, maybe what, 5 years or something. It just seems like they would have done that. My only guess as to why they may not have would be the cost. But let me just shut up and let you respond to my question.
Yeah, first of all, we have to make sure that one understands that LifeWave can't test the patches for a specific disease or disorder. Otherwise, you're going to fall under the FDA.
And of claims.
Right. And so here's the bottom line for the X39. LifeWave claims that X39, when you put it on your skin, it elevates GHK copper peptide. Lifewave had an independent study done. Granted, it was a week, but I mean, who cares if they show that it elevates GHK? Okay, it elevated GHK. What was interesting that it didn't do it there wasn't as big much of a rise in the first 24 hours, but on the seventh day, there was a huge uptick increase in GHK copper peptide in the blood. So they drew blood and they flash froze it, and then they tested it, and it showed that yes, wearing the X39 elevates GHK copper peptide. So, in order to determine any potential benefit of wearing the X39, all you have to do is turn to the literature. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I compiled all of the research studies that were done, not by Lifewave. They were done by independent, lots of different people and labs and things that then showed the GHK effect on gene expression, repairing a third of our genes, inhibiting the overproduction of fibrinogen, helping maintain integrity of the cardiovascular system, lowering cholesterol, helping all of those things. Those are already proven. We don't have to prove those.
And so you're saying, and I haven't read your book, so I apologize for that, and I'm happy to order it today if it's the answer to my questions. You're saying
So
Lifewave has done these 7 day studies showing there's an increase in the GHK copper peptide, and that in your book you talk about what that results in. Is that
Correct. So if a doc says, well, what does it do for this or that? I tell people just take a picture of the page that it's on with the reference and text it to them.
I see. Okay. Well, that's
Lifewave walks a really tight, a tight line through the jungle of the FDA scrutiny. And I mean, it's horrible. We can't say this, we can't say that. You can't make this claim, you can't make that claim because they're all tied to big pharma and they're all buddies. And so I think it's very smart that Lifewave doesn't show a study that was done on, MS, a study that was done on ALS. I've interviewed people who don't have those things anymore, but I can't make a claim about it. And it was from wearing the X39. Well, when you wear the X39, what happens? The GHK copper peptide elevates in your bloodstream, right? And so 91 references in the book to the studies, independent, not related to Lifewave. And that's why I didn't put the name of Lifewave or the name of the patch in my book. The whole point was to show what the literature says, tell people how they can get GHK, because a friend of mine runs a regenerative cancer care clinic, and part of his protocols is that he gives infusions of the GHK copper peptide because of the anti-cancer properties. We're on the same street. He's right down the street from me. He wrote the book, A Better Way to Treat Cancer, at the same time I was writing GHK, How to Reverse Aging. And so I said, you can get it in an infusion. You can get it in injections that really sting. They're really very uncomfortable to get a GHK injection. I haven't had one, but I know people who have. You can get it in a lotion or a cream from a dermatologist, or there's this innovative phototherapy patch developed by David Schmidt that shows that it elevates your GHK by itself by signaling your body to make your own. Next chapter. There's one page in the whole book that talks about the different ways you can get GHK. But the main point is so that everybody knows the science behind that.
okay. Fantastic. Well, I think you've got more than one book out. So just to make sure I order the right one here, what's the name of the book?
How to Reverse Aging. That's about copper peptides, a comprehensive guide to copper peptides. And the other one is called The Reverse Aging Power of Epitalin. That's the peptide that gets elevated when you wear the Alavita patch. It's the second most powerful patch.
Okay, very good. I'll order both.
It will help um, with the analytical mind of doctors.
Yeah.
They look at studies that prove that something does something for some disease most of the time, and then they show the clinical outcome over a long period of time. If you're doing these short studies just proving something, the patches only have wellness device clearance from the FDA, so we can't say those things anyway. That's why they don't do long-term studies on diseases or disorders. You'll find the glutathione study. They did blood samples, took the blood samples, showed that glutathione levels raised on average 300% within 24 hours, whereas a supplement will only raise your glutathione level maybe 10%. So it's more like an IV, but in my opinion, better than an IV because once you do that IV push, it's usually done with a big syringe, pretty quick. Once you do that, a few hours later, there ain't no glutathione left. But if you can raise it and have it raised all day, that's a real game changer.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your clarification here and the place to. My wife has been on the several. I won't X39 plus a couple of the other patches and has basically lost knee pain that she's had for many years. She's 70 years old. She had skiing accidents in high school and she really needs a knee replacement. Hasn't had it. All of a sudden really has no knee pain. Now she's got hip pain that I think she's got a hip wearing out. And so far there hasn't been much help to the hip pain, but she's she's a big fan because of the lack of the knee pain. So after 3 months of watching that and watching stories and watching videos and studying your many things in Lifewave, I've now gotten on it. I don't have any big issues, but I've gotten on it just because of the positive effects. My wife has not seen any kind of what I'm about to describe, and I think what I'm going to describe are pains caused by toxins being released. I did see that mentioned in one video by Dr. Pierce when Dr. Stacy was interviewing Dr. Pierce. So it gave me a little bit of a hint as to what I might be feeling. I got up one day and had terrible, terrible pain across the top of my back. And the only thing I could compare it to for my wife was when I had shingles. Um, and so it was bad. I went through it for a couple of days, drank a lot of water, blah, blah, blah. Finally went away. And then about a week, I was back on the patches. And about a week later, I had pain in my lower back and across the front, felt like a kidney kind of an issue. And I finally correlated it, and I could be wrong, but I believe I correlated it to this potential that I've got, that the patches are releasing toxins in my body, which is a good thing. It's just causing some pain. So now it's happened about 3 times. Happened again yesterday. So I got off the patches yesterday, and within about 3 hours of drinking water and staying off the patches, I was fine. What's interesting is I don't have this pain while I'm sleeping or while I'm laying in my bed, but literally as soon as I sit up, that's when this toxin release, if I'm correct about that, seems to happen. So I just want to confirm with you that self-diagnosis, if you will, could be correct. And if it is, it must not happen to everybody, but it happens to some of us. And I'll just accept any comments you can make about it. And so that if I don't mind going through that, it seems like good news. I mean, it's very painful, but if it's really releasing toxins and getting bad stuff out of my body, I'm happy to go through the pain in order to get rid of it. And at some point, I'll do the patches every other day or whatever until that releases, and then I'm done. My wife hasn't seen it though, so I'm glad it doesn't happen to everyone. But I want to be prepared for people that I'm sharing this with, if they run across that, to be able to give them some comfort as to what's going on. So I'll listen to you.
And here's a good way of explaining that to people. Our bodies destroy 50 to 70 billion cells a day because they're old.
Wow.
Unless you don't have the resources to replace them. Now they become zombie cells. It's a real term. Zombie cells, you can't get rid of all of them because you can't replace them. So they're kind of like placeholders in your tissues, and you don't want to kill them all off. So you kill too many of them. That's not good. And so your zombie cells are cells that aren't performing their function, but they're demanding to be fed. So they suck up your resources. They're not doing anything. If it's a kidney cell, I'm not doing kidney filtration. I'm just eating and existing. So now along comes, so the X39 is placed on the skin. It instantly starts making GHK copper peptide, which then turns on the genes that tell your body to make more stem cells. And your body goes, holy cow, I got the resources. I can start. All you guys are dead over there. You're dead. Kills them off. Now you got to deal with the debris. Well, here's part of the problem with that. The other thing that happens when cells you can't get rid of the old sick and dying ones, they don't have enough energy to get rid of toxins, and so they store them. And now you have a situation where the storage vaults are open because the cells got killed off. And now, holy cow, I've got a polluted river that I have to clean up. So when this becomes an issue is when someone, this is me talking, because I've looked at a lot of different genetic SNPs that people can have, me being one of them, where we have hiccups in our detox pathways. So people who have, quote, hiccups, in our detox pathways, or if you have a very poor drainage funnel. And I'll tell you what that means. The drainage funnel, at the bottom of the funnel is the bowel, up a little higher, kidneys, they detox. Up higher, gallbladder, liver, we detox through that. Up higher, lymphatic system. And the last resort is the skin. The skin is an excretory organ as well. So if I am not eliminating every day, and many people have a problem with that, and that means I can't get rid of stuff through the bowels. If I can't get it through the bowels, it will go to the kidneys. Now my kidneys are going to ache because they're full of these toxins that they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to filter out. If I can't do that, I'm going to get rid of it through the bile. So now my liver, my gallbladder is really stressed. The gallbladder can refer to the right shoulder, back by the shoulder blade, or down in front, below the liver, along the rib cage. Or I've even had people have it radiate clear up into their neck. So if it's the kidneys, it's down lower. It's like low back pain. What the heck's going on? I feel like I got a kidney infection.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You
Or
right.
lymphatic feels all clogged up. Now I feel really sluggish. Some people get a rash. So here's what I tell them. There's an answer. I warn them in advance. I tell them this doesn't happen very often, but if you're one of these people that you start to feel sluggish or weird pains somewhere, you can slow the process down. It's not a side effect of the patch. The patches don't have side effects. The appearance of side effects comes when your body is not able to handle what it's being asked to do. And so here's how you slow it down. Instead of putting the patch on your skin where you have to take it off, put it back on, take it off, put it back on, put it on the inside of the collar of a t-shirt or a sweater or a scarf in the winter. Wear it for a couple of hours. The non-adhesive side will be facing you. It does not matter which one it is.
Yeah.
Couple hours on, couple hours off, couple hours on, couple hours off. And that way you will slow down that process and give your body a chance to catch up. It's not the patch, it's trying to catch up with what's going on. The other thing that people ask about is, I wore it for this time and I didn't feel anything. Or they say, well, I'll use it for a month. If it works on me, I'm all in. And if somebody says that to me, I look at them, I say, oh, okay. So you're going to do a non-double-blind, non-randomized, non-placebo controlled study of one to prove if these patches work. Because the millions of people who were used them globally, they can't be right if it doesn't work on me.
Yeah.
But they're using some subjective thing like my knee pain. Here is briefly my story. 4.5 months in, I had a stress echo done because I had a knee replacement surgery coming up. Yes, it was necessary. It was like a polished knob. I was the aggressive skier and runner. I used to run 40 to 50 miles a week. And so I had these weird heart symptoms. Didn't know what I had. Went to the surgeon said, we should do a stress echo to see what's going on with your heart because you have got this major surgery coming up. So I had that done. Cardiologist came in afterward. He said, yeah, you got PVCs and you have a right bundle branch block. And I said, well, what causes that? He said, well, just like the rest of the body in the heart, your body kills off old and dying cells and we just can't replace them fast enough. I thought, wow, why didn't it heal me already? I've been using these stem cell activation patches. Why do I still have that? A year and a half later, I had a second stress echo done. Right bundle branch block no longer present. That is when I decided to investigate the research, which wasn't really fun, to find out how it happened. And then I thought, somebody's got to write a book about this. So I'll be it. I'll do it because it wasn't, not everybody's going to dig through that literature.
Yeah.
So here's my point, and then I'll finish up. Had I not had the first stress echo, I never would have known I had one. a right bundle branch block. Had I not had the second, I wouldn't have known that it went away. This is why I think the biggest, the most important things that change in our bodies are for things we don't even know we have that won't happen. For example, when does someone know they have an abdominal, a burst aortic aneurysm? They don't. Their relatives find out
Right.
because they didn't make it. So, if your body has the capacity to repair and restore and regenerate the collagen that's in your cardiovascular system and you don't get an aortic aneurysm, this is repairing things from the inside out.
Yeah.
Our
You
organs don't have to connect with the outside world, so that our organs don't have sensory nerves. We don't feel them until something's really bad, like gallbladder problem. We don't feel it until it causes pain in our back. Yet for 15 years, it's been dysfunctional.
yeah. You
So,
can't I can't tell you how you've been more helpful than I could have guessed because you even answered stuff that I didn't put into my story. As a quick example, I'm I've been for 40 years been very regular. When I first get up in the morning, I go to the bathroom and it's regular. Well, with these pains that I was getting, which I was attributing to the toxins, etc., I would go to the bathroom. It wouldn't fix anything. But within the first hour of my day, I'd go to the bathroom two more times. I don't know where it was all coming from. It was like I went to the bathroom twice more, and you just answered that with your explanation of what's going on with that pain, that kidney, that gallbladder kind of an issue. So
yes, and let me just point something out there too. Someone can be having a bowel movement every day, but if it doesn't clear everything out, it starts to back up. And even though they're having a bowel movement maybe once or twice a day, it may not be totally evacuating. This stuff builds up. And now all of a sudden, like you said, oh man, I gotta go two more times. Where is this coming from? So that's actually really a good thing,
yeah,
that you're clearing stuff out.
help with cardiovascular stuff. I know several people on that front. In addition to people I just want to share this with from a health and wellness standpoint and the things that you just explained, how it's helping your body from the inside out on things that we don't know. Those are great points. Awesome.
It was great meeting you.
It's really great meeting you, Dr. Harmon. Thank you so much for taking the time with just a little old me here. I know your time is very valuable and I appreciate it greatly. James, thank you so much. I'll let you guys go.
Thanks, Terry.